Airbnb is honestly one of the easiest forms of businesses to get into. It has a low startup cost, easy to use platform, flexible commitment, and of course, built-in support. Okay, the built-in support is not the greatest, but everything else still holds true. Let's get started. What's up, guys? My name is Rob, and welcome to your 5-minute course on how to get started on Airbnb. Now, just a quick disclaimer, this course is tailored to the newbies, but if you are an Airbnb veteran or you co-host or anything of that nature, and you have any tips and tricks, just leave a comment down below and let's help out the newbies, you know? Alright, so first thing you gotta do is figure out what type of listing are you trying to list. But before we get into that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below. This will help me out tremendously. Also, if you're thinking about becoming an Airbnb host, which I know you are, hit the link in the description below. This will allow me to become your ambassador and you get $75 off. Pretty neat. Alright, so let's get into it. The first step is deciding on your listing type. Are you going to have a house, a townhouse, a condo, a glamping unit, a tree house, a tiny house, or an A-frame, or an apartment through rental arbitrage? Rental arbitrage is when you lease an apartment or a house and then release it to Airbnb, with the owner's permission, of course. Now, understanding your listing type is very important because this will determine how much money you'll make off Airbnb. Every listing type is completely different. For example, if you have a single family house, you could potentially make more money than a glamping unit. However, a glamping unit has a lower cost of entry. Keep that in mind. Also, because this is your first listing, the safest route will probably be a single family home. However, if you cannot afford a single family home, then rental arbitrage is probably the best method for you. After you figure out the property type, the next step is to figure out the location. This is the most important step here. You can have a beautiful home, but if you have a crappy location, I guarantee you won't get bookings. When it comes to location, the best rule of thumb is to find a property that's no less than 2 hours away. Why? Because if something goes wrong, you're able to quickly fix whatever needs to be fixed. So the key to finding a good location is to find somewhere that has something going for it. For example, destination towns, tourist towns, beach towns, national parks, state parks, or a location that has an event going for it. For instance, here in Tampa, Florida, we have a giant parade called Gasparilla. It's basically like an event with pirates and stuff like that. Anyways, this event brings in 300,000 people a year. Yeah, our city's not that big, so this is perfect for us. All I hear is money.
Just pile up my money.
Your next step is to be understanding of state laws, local laws, or any other town regulations. You need to ask yourself, does my state, city, or town require a short-term renter's license? Or does it put a cap on my minimum nightly stays? What taxes are required of me? These are important questions to ask. Every state and every city has different rules when it comes to short-term rentals. For example, some places have a 30-day nightly minimum, other places have 7 days, other places have 2 days. So you need to be aware of what's out there, especially for your city or town. In some places, short-term rentals is banned altogether. Make sure to visit your local city hall or maybe call them for the most up-to-date information. Now, another great source of information is your local AI, ChatGPT. Now, story time. I live in Tampa, Florida, where we are required to have a short-term renter's license, and I believe we have a 7-day cap as to us hosting. However, I did not notice at the time, luckily I'm legal, just for the record, but I did not notice at the time that only certain zones are allowed to host anywhere under 7 nights. I did not know this until a friend approached me and told me this. The first thing I did was go into research mode. I was Googling, I couldn't find anything. I contacted my city hall. It was hard to get a hold of them. They were busy and they said they'll respond back by email. And it took them about a week. But during that meantime, I went on ChatGPT. I asked them all sorts of questions and it gave me a list of all the zones that are allowed to host under 7 days. Mine's considered commercial intensive and I was good. I would have been screwed, you know, but luckily I did my research. Even though it was after the fact, I still did my research and I made sure I was good. And that's what you have to do as well, because hey, you know, they'll shut down your business in a heartbeat. Alright, so you picked your listing type, figured out the location, done your research when it comes to the laws and regulation of short-term rentals. Now, what's next? Well, the next step is furnishing your unit. Now, don't complicate this. It's not that hard. The first thing you need to do is figure out a budget. Okay, now do you want to go cheap or do you want to go a more premium luxury experience? I personally have a mixture of both because I don't think everything has to be premium. Now, the first thing you should do is pick out a style. Like, do you want a bohemian style? Do you want a like mid-century theme, a contemporary theme? Find the theme and just stick to it. Don't mix and match too much because it doesn't look so great. Maybe for certain listing it does, but for the most part, just pick a style and just stick with it. Another good source of information will be to hire an interior decorator. They're pretty good and they can help you with whatever styles you need. But please don't overthink it. Just don't cheap out. For instance, I spent about $10,000 to $15,000 on furnishing my whole unit, and it's about 1,300 square feet. So it gives you an idea of how much I was willing to put in, because again, that's gonna show. Oh, and the last step before I forget, it's part of the furnishing unit. Please hire a professional photographer. I cannot sweat this enough. Hire a professional photographer. Do not take cell phone pics of your property. You spent so much money on this property, spent so much money on furnishing the unit, that you don't want to cheap out and then just have cell phone photos that are low quality. Spend the $500, $600, $700, whatever it is in your area, and just hire a professional photographer. You will not go wrong. This is probably the best thing I ever done for my unit, and it looks great because of it. And if you live like in a seasonal place, maybe hire a photographer based off the seasons, and maybe you can switch out the photos on, you know, if it's like fall or whatever, or winter, you can switch out the photos and it'll look great. It will. So thank you guys for watching my video. This is all I have for now. 5 minutes, logging out.